Entry 14. I shouldn't have read that page. It was handwritten, not typed, not printed. A torn sheet tucked inside the back of a second-hand book I bought from a local charity shop. The book was about herbal folklore, nothing unusual. But the page wasn't from that book. It was folded into quarters, yellowed at the edges, and smelled faintly of wax and ash. I didn't read it straight away, not because I was scared, because something about it felt unfinished. Like it hadn't been meant to be read. Not by just anyone, not without consequence. Of course I read it anyway. The handwriting was tight and slanted. No title, no signature. Just this. If the name is spoken while the circle is cracked, the silence will split and she will wake early. You must not be present when it happens. She knows the voice. She'll come to it, even if it's not ready. I read it again. Even if it's not ready. And then I felt something, not around me, in me. It didn't hit me straight away. There was no thunderclap, no slam of energy. But that night I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes I saw a circle, thin, drawn in ash and then a crack down the center. Same image, over and over. Sometimes it bled. Sometimes something crawled out of it. The next morning I found soot on my hands. I hadn't lit anything. I checked the page again. Same words, still folded, still faintly warm to the touch, as if it had absorbed something from me now. And then I heard it. Not outside, not spoken. A voice, low, familiar, from the mirror. Just one sentence. You read it before it was time. I didn't look again. Didn't answer. But I started keeping the page in a jar of salt. Just in case. I never said a name out loud. Not intentionally. But witches don't always need to speak to summon. Sometimes it's enough to feel. To focus too long. To hold something too closely in mind. That's why we write names down in code. That's why ancient grimoires bury the true names under symbols or backwards text. The she in the message, I still don't know who she is. But something came closer. And it came with knowing. I cast a protection. Salt. Lavender. 4 candles. 1 at each corner. It was a spell I'd done dozens of times. But this time, the flame in the north corner curled backward. Not toward the ceiling. Toward the circle. Fire should never do that. I felt it again. A shift in the mirror behind me. I turned it to face the wall. Later, I rewrote the spell with iron shavings, and Rosemary added, things that ground and block retrieval, because sometimes it's not about keeping things out. It's about making sure they can't pull you back in.